All right, so that's the basics of pressure. So we use that as we lead into gas laws, and gas laws simply describe how the world or how gases behave under different conditions, under changing pressure, changing volume, changing number of particles, as well as changing temperature. So there is a second set of notes in Schoology for you to work on with this gas laws. All right, so once again, what the gas laws do is they focus on how gases behave when conditions change. What can change? Pressure, volume, number of particles, temperature. Okay, so we are going to look at the effects of each of those on the others. All right. So those four variables can be changed over and over and over again, and there's four combinations that actually have some names. So Boyle's law, which is when when pressure and volume are changing. Charles, when temperature and volume are changing. Gay-Lussac's, which is when temperature and pressure are changing. And Avogadro's law, which is when the number of particles and the volume are changing. So for this set of notes, it says make a table. There is a table already in the notes. And all we're going to do is we're just going to go through the four named laws, what's changing in each, what's constant in each, what is the relationship, why that relationship exists, and any equations that go along with that. So this will be your basic notes for this set lecture. All right, so in this lecture, or as we talk about the gas laws, one thing that's going to come up frequently is balloons. And so what we basically need to understand is how a balloon works. And basically what happens is balloons will expand or contract until the pressure inside them equals the pressure outside of them. So as we inflate a balloon, it increases the pressure inside of the balloon. What does the balloon respond? The balloon responds by expanding. When it expands, it keeps expanding until the pressure inside equals the pressure outside. So our first law is Boyle's law. And the primer question for this is, when a balloon rises, its volume increases. Why? Well, if you think about what we said before, we said that as we go up in the atmosphere, the amount of pressure, atmospheric pressure, decreases. So the amount of pressure pushing on the outside of the balloon is going to be less. And so what's going to happen? The balloon will increase in size until the pressure inside equals the pressure outside. Okay, so basically, as pressure goes up, volume goes down. As pressure goes down, volume goes up. So this is Boyle's law. So what's changing in Boyle's law? Volume and pressure. What's staying the same? The number of particles and the temperature. Okay. What is the relationship for this? Again, as we said, as the volume goes up, the pressure goes down. As the volume goes down, the pressure goes up. Or vice versa for those, right? We can say pressure down, volume up, pressure up, volume down. And you'll notice from math, that's an inverse relationship. And so if we graph it, we get an inverse 1 over graphing relationship, this characteristic curve. Okay? All right, so the why. So why, when we have more volume, does the pressure go down? Or when the volume decreases, why does the pressure go up? And again, this has entirely to do with pressure being caused by collisions by particles colliding, right? And so if we give them more space, like here, there's going to be less collisions. There's going to be less force of particles on the area. If we give them less space, there's going to be more particles colliding in the area. So more space, less collisions, less space, more collisions meaning more pressure. Okay, so some equations that go along with this. Okay, basically, essentially what we find is that pressure times volume equals a constant, or volume equals a constant divided by the pressure. It's an inverse relationship. If we're talking about two different situations then, since this is constant, we can have pressure times volume 1 equals pressure times volume 2. And why are they equal to each other? Because they're both equal to the constant. And ordinarily in class, I would do a demo for you, but obviously we can't do that yet this year. Okay. Second law. When a balloon is taken outside in cold weather, it contracts. Why? Think about it. Come back to the video. All right, so we can think about it. If I take a balloon and I put it in cold temperatures, what happens to the particles inside? Well, they go from moving faster to moving slower. Okay. If they're moving slower, there's less collisions. There's less collisions, the pressure goes down, and as a result of that, the balloon is going to decrease in volume to try to maintain the same pressure. So, in Charles' law, what's changing? The volume and the temperature. What stays the same? The number of particles and the pressure. Okay. What is the relationship? As it gets warmer, the volume goes up. As it gets cooler, the volume goes down. It is a direct relationship. It would be graphed with this linear relationship graphically. So again, why does that happen? Well, if we have faster particles, they have to spread out to keep the same number of collisions. So ordinarily, faster particles would cause more collisions, but we are keeping the pressure constant. And so in order to keep the pressure constant, you have to get the particles to spread out so you don't end up with more collisions. Okay, equations for this. Volume divided by temperature is a constant. So V1 over T1 equals V2 over T2. Okay. Gay-Lussac's law. When an aerosol can is thrown in a fire, it explodes. Why? Let's watch it.
Eye-opening lesson this week for Coon Rapids firefighters.
This is what happens when flames meet aerosol cans. It was quite a scene Tuesday inside the old Firestone building on Coon Rapids Boulevard. The fire department conducted several test burns in the building, which was purchased by the city for redevelopment. It didn't take long before aerosol cans turned into missiles. The test has the fire department recommending residents keep aerosol cans in their garage in a metal cabinet.
Best thing to do is, keep your cans like in a metal container so they can't be exposed to the heat, and try to limit the cans you have. If you have aerosol cans or WD-40 cans that are empty, get rid of them.
The Coon Rapids Fire Department responds to about 20 garage fires each year. The lessons learned this week will be passed along to all firefighters in the hopes of keeping them safe.
So what's going on here? Well, when we throw an aerosol can in the fire, obviously the particles start moving faster. If they move faster, that means the pressure is going to go up. In an aerosol can, you can't change the volume, so the pressure keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it basically bursts the can open. All right, so for Gay-Lussac's law, what is changing is the temperature and the pressure. What's staying the same is the number of particles and the volume. All right, so our relationship here is as temperature goes up, pressure gets bigger, like it did in the aerosol cans. As temperature goes down, pressure goes down. Once again, a direct relationship, so we would get a linear graphing version of this. Okay, so again, why? Well, faster particles creates stronger and more collisions. Okay, so more collisions and stronger collisions. Important one for us to think about in terms of that. And when we think about those two, we are going to go ahead and say if we have stronger and more collisions, we get more pressure. Okay, all right, equation. P equals KT is our basic equation. So if I put that in terms of a constant, the pressure divided by the temperature is a constant. And so we can end up with an equation over in two different periods of P1 over T1 equals P2 over T2, because they are both equal to that constant. If I increase the number of particles in a balloon, the volume increases. Why? This is Avogadro's law. So if I go ahead and I increase the number of particles in these balloons, it's going to go ahead and increase the volume of the gas in those balloons. Okay, so blow into them, and suddenly the balloon gets bigger. Okay, why? Well, more particles is going to create more collisions. But in the case of a balloon, the balloon can expand to make that pressure inside continue to keep the pressure outside the same. And so increasing the collisions would normally increase the pressure. However, we increase the volume, and that brings the collisions down. So those two cancel each other out when the balloon gets to the same size. So again, as the number of particles goes up, the volume goes up. What's changing in Avogadro's law? The number of particles and the volume. What's staying the same? The temperature and the pressure. As the number of particles goes up, the volume goes up. As the number of particles goes down, the volume goes down. It is another direct relationship, which we would graph that way. And again, why does this happen? Well, if there are more particles, they have to spread out in order to keep the same number of collisions or keep the same pressure. And so as a result of that, when they spread out, you end up with more volume. Here's our equations for this. The volume is proportional to the number of particles, or a constant equals the volume divided by the number of particles. In two different situations, we refer to this as V1 over N1 equals V2 over N2. When we put these ideas together, we come up with a set of conditions called standard temperature and pressure. All right, standard temperature and pressure is 0 degrees Celsius, or 273 Kelvin, and 1 atmosphere, 1 ATM. Okay, so when we measure things, we'll oftentimes refer to the gases behaving at STP, or standard temperature and pressure. It is important for us to know what those conditions are, and also by definition, 1 mole of gas occupies 22.4 liters of space at standard temperature and pressure. So look at all of our equations that we've done so far. Can you go ahead and can you combine them? See if mathematically you can take a look at them and see how you might go ahead and put those all together in terms of one super constant. Then come back. All right, so let's put this all together, right? So we've seen that volume is proportional to 1 over P, directly proportional to temperature. Temperature is directly proportional to pressure, and volume is directly proportional to the number of particles. So if we think about those, we see that the volume, the number of particles, and the temperature is always on the top, okay? And pressure is on the bottom. So if I go ahead and combine those, I get an equation that looks like this. Since they're proportional, we can just replace that with a constant of some sort. And that constant is known as R, the universal gas constant. Okay, so I get this equation of volume equals the universal gas constant times the number of particles, the temperature, and the pressure. Okay, so if we rearrange that equation, we get this: PV equals nRT. PV equals nRT is the ideal gas law. Okay, when we use PV equals nRT, the units that we use for these are important. Okay, in all of our gas laws, our temperature needs to be in Kelvin. Okay, our number of particles is always going to be in moles. Okay, our pressure, though, sometimes can be in kilopascals, sometimes it can be in torr, sometimes it can be in atmospheres. Okay, our volume is typically done in liters. Okay. So depending upon what units we have over here, the value of R can change. Okay, so that value of R is the universal gas constant. You will find values for this on the pink sheet. And if the universal gas constant is done in done in a place where the pressure is being done in atmospheres, then we get 0.8206 liter atmospheres per moles Kelvin. Okay, we can also do it in other units as well. Joules per mole Kelvin is 8.314. The other one on our pink sheet is this one, liters torr per moles Kelvin. Okay, all of those are different things that we can use in terms of the gas constant R, depending upon what we're dealing with. This one here can also be written as kilopascal liters per moles Kelvin. The important part, though, is that our temperature is always in Kelvin, not in degrees Celsius. Last thing to note on the ideal gas equation, the ideal gas equation we use when nothing is changing. When we want to know the conditions at one set of pressure, temperature, number of particles, and volume. If everything is changing, or anything is changing, we can go ahead and we can put our versions of Avogadro's law, Boyle's law, and Charles' law together and put them into what we call the combined gas law, okay, which is P1V1 over N1T1 equals P2V2 over N2T2. Okay, again, we can take this straight from the ideal gas law. If I have a set of conditions, pressure 1, volume 1, number of particles 1, and temperature 1, we know that we can rearrange that to equal the universal gas constant. Well, it's a constant, so that means it would also apply for a different set of pressures, volumes, number of particles, and temperatures. All right, so if those two are both equal to the constant, they are equal to each other, and we get the combined gas law. If we know the combined gas law, we don't need to actually remember any of these other laws because we just figure out what's constant, scratch those out, and we're left with what we want. Okay, so again, taking what I just did and going back, let's say we're doing a problem, and in the problem they tell us that pressure and temperature are constant. Then we can go ahead and take our combined gas law, knowing that pressure and temperature are not going to change, and suddenly we have V1 over N1 equals V2 over N2, which is Avogadro's law. So to leave you today, just want to talk about the fact that gases can do amazing things. Okay, so this is a tanker, and they've a tanker car, railroad tanker car, and they've gone ahead and they've filled it up with gas, fairly warm gas, hot gas, and they sit it outside and they just let it cool. Now you can imagine that if you're taking a situation where you're taking hot gas and letting it cool, by Galen X, we should end up having the temperature inside as well as it drops. What's going to happen to the pressure inside? Pressure inside is also going to drop. What happens to the pressure outside? It stays the same. So as the pressure inside gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and the pressure on the outside stays the same, you get a massive pressure imbalance. Let's watch it.
760. Gewonnen hat Herr Dr.
So all that just by a pressure change.